So this has taken me a little while. This is the kitchen, so this will be drawers, this will be water filter system, and then the hot water cylinder, which has to go down through the floor here, and I also need to be able to access this angle. Bit frustrating. Definitely took me longer than I would have liked. I'm currently doing a platform here now out of 18mm poplar, and then I can kind of place the plumbing fittings, or the main plumbing fittings, which is great. Above it will be, somewhere up here will be our kitchen sink. So it's coming along. So this is the last, or maybe second to last carcass that I've got to do. I'll probably build something here afterwards in that corner, and then the carcasses will be done, which is nice. What slowed me down a bit is just deciding whether I want to do overlay doors or inset doors. I really like the look of the inset doors, but I don't know if I've got the skill, the patience, or the tools to be able to do a really nice job of inset doors. So I might give it a go, and then if it starts to look really rough, then I will maybe try overlay doors, because overlay cabinetry is much easier to hide imperfections and when things are out of square. Hopefully most stuff is square in here, even though the floor isn't right, but yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to the appearance of the woodwork, so yeah, hopefully I can do a nice job. We'll see. I wanted to show you these. That's the poplar once it's had a bit of teak oil stain. Definitely goes a little bit yellow, but when it's really white like what you've seen it, you can just touch it and it leaves like dirty marks, so it's just not practical long term. But behind we have some really nice, and I mean like really nice, grade 12mm birch. I think I will use that for the doors and stuff. That'll be that shelf that I'm building now, and I've put a bit of work into this setup here. So as you can see, it's all carpeted now. I've got my main battery isolator hooked up to the EnerDrive G board. Underneath, inverter is all snug in here, as well as I've made this pull-out screen for the inverter, so I can either plug that in there or up here or here. Doesn't really matter too much. I think down here will be charging for laptops. Batteries of course go here. Another shelf above, and then I found this really nice small consumer unit. So that'll be for all my AC wiring. There's not actually going to be too much AC wiring. I mean, thanks to this inverter, which has already got an AC transfer switch, already has a built-in RCD, and it also has its own built-in 10 amp GPO. I don't need to do too much. I really only need one main breaker here for my 16 amp input that comes into the truck, so that I can charge the batteries via AC. And the other thing I've done is put the Cymarine screen on the board here, which looks really nice. And then I'll ask Ange if we should get some USB sockets for here. This one's gonna be a bit trickier to wire up because there are really no instructions. So I'm trying to work out a few weird things that are going on there. And this main power cable, because it needs to hold about 100 amps, definitely too short. So I need to open that up and see if it's got room for me to buy some thicker gauge cable. So the saga continues. This will be for the water heater, some really nice heater hose designed for coolant and water, and that's a marine grade, and it can handle minus 40 degrees Celsius up to over 120 degrees Celsius. That's what it's actually rated for, and it's got like a steel coil within, but it still bends really nice and doesn't crush. So thanks to Ange for picking that up for me at a boat like chandlery. I don't know what you call them here, but we call that a chandlery in Australia. Solar panels have arrived, so I've got lots of jobs and not enough time. All right, Stokes, now we're ready to chuck the hot water cylinder in. So having hot water in our build wasn't even really a question. Since we got this in Bowser, it's such a luxury that we wouldn't want to be without, especially the fact that if we're driving quite frequently, which I'm pretty sure we will be, it just heats it up for free. It's just for such a small sort of form factor. It doesn't take up too much room at all. We find it really worthwhile getting a hot water cylinder, so we're very happy with these units. And they're just built really nice. It's got a few points of contact here, so we've got the 4 bolts in, plus it sort of wedges under this first piece of wood, so this is not going to be going anywhere. Now in terms of your plumbing points, we've got a drain valve here, which will go through the floor. This one here is cold water in from the pump. This one is hot water out, and we've already got a thermostatic mixing valve. So easy just to change our maximum temperature. And that's really important so that, for instance, if Oakley turns the water on or something, he won't get scalded, because this water will be like easy 100 sort of degrees Celsius, so it's easy to be able to turn this down. I just need to make sure that this is still accessible on the build, which I'll make sure it is. And then the other 2 points, this one here and this one down here, that is for going to the engine. So just waiting on a couple of parts for that, and then I'll be able to plumb that all in. So yeah, exciting stuff. They're easy to plumb up. They're easy to make work in your system. And I'm just really surprised they're not more popular. Even in Australia, people don't really seem to run these. They seem to like running the on-demand gas products like your Julka hot tap and things like that, which I'm sure work really efficiently and effectively. But for us, that means carrying around a gas cylinder, LPG cylinder, which would be very similar to this size anyway. And don't know where we would put that. There's not much room on the outside. And then you've also got the fact that when you turn the cold water on, you're not going to get hot water immediately. So you're going to have to actually waste a little bit of water before you get the gas to heat up the water to make it hot. Whereas this does not have the issue with this, of course. Plus, we don't have to worry about finding gas anywhere. So we're looking at not running any gas in this, apart from maybe on like a portable burner, just with the little gas canisters. And that'll just be on the very rare chance that maybe we run out of power, so we can't run our induction. Good morning guys, just wanted to show you a little gadget, part of my sort of EDC upgrade, I guess, my everyday carry. So this is the original Olight head torch. I believe it's called the Perrin, and Ange and I have a couple of these which we bought many years ago for the start of our travels around Australia, and they've been fantastic. They haven't skipped a beat. Olight has now recently updated to the Perrin 3. So this is this bad boy here, and a bunch of new features on it. We're stoked to have them. So you can pull them off the headband just like the original one if you want to just use it as a standalone torch, or you can clip your little belt clip onto it, and then you can, for instance, use it on like the strap. So I can use this on the strap of my Osprey backpack, and then you don't actually have to have something on your head. So if you're spelunking or whatever, if you've got a hard hat on or something, or just a baseball cap, having it there works quite well for like hiking and canyoning, things like that. So one of the upgrades is they now have a red light mode with 2 different levels plus a strobe. So then you've also got your main torch with differing levels of brightness. You've also got a moon mode which can last like weeks. So if you're hiking or tenting or something like that, and you're worried about the battery and you can't recharge, so say you're on like a really long through hike, something along those lines, in the moon mode, it'll last for ages. If you're after some good quality gear, do check out Olight. I mean, I've got 2 of their torches now, one of them being like their absolute weapon, which you can almost use as a self-defense thing, it's so bright. And then we also have, you've probably seen on the channel as well, the little like lantern, which we love, and that's kind of Oakley's now. That's his night light. So yeah, the Olight stuff is great. I prefer it to any other brand of light that I've ever used. And then they're still using their really cool magnetic USB charging cradle. But yeah, premium stuff. So like, this is the sort of box it comes in. So yeah, check out that Perrin 3. Yay! Hello! Well, that's a scary hole. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, hot. Oh, like a bloody glove, mate. All right, I'll just give it a bit of a file, and then that'll fit in perfectly. And then we have our 16 amp inlet. So people, I'm sure, are wondering, why on earth would you put it in the wheel well? Because for us, it's the best place. We don't want to be putting a hole in the side of our beautiful truck that you can properly see. So wheel well it is. This is IP44 rated, so it's not IP57 or 67. They're quite hard to come by, but we think it'll be adequate. So if you imagine that hole is like, that's at my waist. So we do not want to be in water this deep ideally anyway, because that would be over our door. So that means water would be coming in through these seals and water would be coming into the cab as well. So that's kind of how we rated where to put things on our Unimog as well, and it came in handy. We'll get splashes and stuff in here, but the IP44 should stop the majority of that. And this will be accessible. So if we feel that water comes in when we're doing, like, say, a shallow river crossing, then we'll change it out for a flasher unit. I think Victron do one, but it's much more expensive and they're harder to come by here. So yeah, worst case, we can change it out. It's not the end of the world.
Today is a special day. Today is Father's Day, so I'm taking Chris out of the workshop this afternoon for a little outing. Please come in. Did some work this morning, but we're gonna stay. We had a nice little surprise this morning. I made like a little video of like memories with Oakley, which was a nice little emotional moment. And I've got another little surprise, like more like a funny surprise. If you remember an episode, a few episodes ago, you would have seen Chris had beautiful socks. And yeah, I was a bit embarrassed. Nice socks.
Hey, thanks. That's a bit bad, isn't it?
Embarrassing.
They've been attacked by caterpillars or something.
And I think it was time to
that
get
was some of my
socks.
best socks, actually.
So let me introduce you to your new workshop socks, the Swedish caravan socks.
Those are great. Those are great. Thank you very much. How good's that? Got to get socks on Father's Day, right?
Wow.
Ooh. Such a colour combo. So Swedish. Doesn't get more Swedish than that.
Having fun over there?
Lots of weird little jobs going on. Thank you for going on a hunt for these to Hornbuck. Ange made up some teas and things for me because I didn't really have the right stuff that we needed, so she kind of just made them up. So I'm very proud of her this morning.
Yay.
She crushed it.
That reminded me back in the day in, at Bunnings in Australia when we were doing the mock build. I could always see like Chris make his own fittings, and I was on a hunt for some barb tees, and I asked the staff. They were like, no, we don't have them. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own.
It's about 8:30 in the workshop, and I am having one of those moments that doesn't happen very often where I am actually really chuffed with the work I've done. So I've been wanting to try doing inset doors like this. Sorry, kind of flush doors, I guess you could call them. For a really long time. Like, I see a lot of really impressive craftsmen, like Endlos Friesen in Germany, probably not pronouncing that right, and Toby at Odyssey Custom Fit Outs in Perth. And they do this kind of a style, as well as a lot of other people. But you know what? I thought, how bad's it going to be if I try this just with some really basic power tools? Because they will be, I'm sure, using routers or CNC machines or something like that. Probably routers. But I've got the trusty track saw and a jigsaw. And I thought, you know what, I'll just give it a crack. And I'm actually pretty impressed with it. If you look really closely, obviously it's not perfect. Definitely looks handmade, but I'm happy with it. So we'll have a couple of hinges at the bottom. Both of these little corner cupboards will be a drop down because we think that'll be the easiest to access, but we'll kind of double check that. We can always do a side opening. I think, yeah, drop down. Rather than having some expensive flash catches that kind of everyone does, we will probably make little pieces of wood, probably out of this birch, and we'll use that as like a physical catch, so it will screw in, and the tighter you make the screw, the tighter it will be to slide. And I reckon that will do a bloody good job. I mean, it's kind of basic, it'll be very cheap, but I'm gonna like the look, I think, having little wooden catches rather than these really big bulky black ones that you push and they open up, and we'll end up spending 150 to 250 euro on all the catches we would need, so it'll save money in that respect. So you're very chuffed. Now we just need to work out what hinges to do. And the only one that I'm gonna have trouble with doing this style is the toilet, because I made it so bloody tight, which I shouldn't have because I had extra room. I made it so tight that by doing that, I don't think you'll be able to pull it out. So I think this will be an overlay style cupboard. So I might have two different styles, probably more than two different styles in the Volvo, but that's okay. I think it'll be unique and kind of cool. Good morning. Okay, so now I'm working on the face of the electronics cabinet. So that's this guy here. So the only tricky part about it is these batteries are really snug into this kind of compartment here, so I can't really have rounded edges, otherwise you won't actually be able to remove the batteries. It'll be the same on the toilet. So this one will be a more squared off drop down door, and then I'll keep the curved radius corners on the others. So hopefully that doesn't look too weird. I'll do the same on the toilet area. So that's what I've kind of traced out here, or beginning to. So that will be the battery compartment there, more of like a straight kind of corner, and then here will be where the inverter is, and the other drop down, that's more of the radius corner. And the way I'm doing it is I'm just using a spray paint lid, and that creates my radius, and then I know I can get that nice and uniform on all of the edges. But I must say, working with this birch is much more enjoyable than working with the poplar, because it kind of cuts nicer, it's firmer, it doesn't kind of bend as much, and also it doesn't dent as easily, which is nice. How are you guys?
Doing good. I think we've got a future plumber on our hands.
Future plumber?
He's just obsessed with plumbing fittings, hose.
Putting them down the pipe. Good boy. Down it goes. Yeah. Man, it's hard work. I got a sweat on, just battling this. So that is a reverse tooth jigsaw, and it probably has the nicest cut, but it's not really designed for pushing through material, but it's working okay. After many hours of sanding, I'm really happy with the result. This morning I've just started working on the toilet cabinet. That one will be much, much easier. And it was, to sand, it was just a combination of varying different grit levels on the orbital sander, plus a block, plus the part of the handle of my broom. Made the ultimate sacrifice. So I basically just wrap that like so, and that's how I get in the corners. And that seems to work pretty effectively. All right, now off to Stockholm.
And we're back from Stockholm. As you can see with my warm jacket, summer is officially over here in Sweden. Since we've come back to Malmö, the weather has been actually quite cold. But luckily for our little road trip to Stockholm, we had really good weather, so that gave us the opportunity to stop along the way. We've seen some castles.
I'm tickling you, little feet. What is it, ugly? Ooh, Sieging the castle. Yeah! Wow, big cannons, Oaks. Yeah, get the cannon.
Yeah.
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 We've done a lot of like walking around the city of Stockholm itself, which was really pleasant to walk around. And you know, overall we had a good time. Chris had a nice little break. So I've mentioned it in a previous video, but the main reason why we went to Stockholm was to go to the French embassy to apply for a visa for Chris, which we're still waiting on. So fingers crossed it gets approved very quickly so that we've got no pressure of time and we can travel around Europe freely. But one little story about the embassy appointment that we had. We're always early with Chris to any appointment, so we were there like an old playground nearby, and half an hour before, Chris asked me, "Ange, did you get the paper for the visa?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. I just looked after Oki's bag." And Chris said that he didn't have the paper either. He had to run back to the Airbnb, which was more than 30-minute walk, and back to the embassy within that 30-minute time frame. And he made it. That was just insane.
Sprinting across town.
You were
I
a
was
bit
sweating so much by the time I got back, it was embarrassing. I had to apologise to the embassy people. I was drenched.
Let's hope that they won't mind and that they will approve your visa regardless.
So, well, they saw that I was committed to the cause, right?
Yeah, at least, yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, fingers crossed we get that good news. That will give us an extra boost of motivation to keep going for the build and travel around Europe.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Hope so, fingers crossed. Well, that was a nice easy job. We are now back to being street legal. So we got these rubber fenders by the meter from a company called Offroad. They were very helpful. They've actually sold these for Volvos in the past. Even sent me some photos to show what they would look like. They are 65 millimeters wide, just a high density rubber. They were a very reasonable price, and yeah, as you see, they went on really easily just with these wafer head screws which they provided. Easy job. So that makes me feel a little bit safer on the streets, especially here in Sweden, because I have heard the cops are pretty ruthless with tyre poke. It's the same in Australia. If you've got any tyre poke, you are going to get hammered by the cops at some point, which in my opinion is a bit ridiculous, but it is what it is. So back to being nice and legal. No poke at all. So that's perfect. Another job ticked off the list. Let's have a little controversial debate. Please let me know in the comments, who of you have had rocks, relatively large rocks, kicked up at your windscreen when you are driving behind a car with like 35 or 37 inch mud tyres or greater? My theory is it doesn't happen. It's the tyres that are either smaller or have a finer tread that actually fire the smaller stones at a higher velocity at your windscreen. With all of the driving we've done around Oz, never had a four-wheel drive with big tyres ever throw a stone at my windscreen. You'll see them kick up rocks sometimes, I find, but they never seem to have the velocity to be actually up at your windscreen level. So that's this controversial debate. So hence why I was meaning it's a bit ridiculous with the tyres, because I guarantee with the speed that we go and the size of these tyres, the size of these lugs, you're not going to get a rock that big with enough velocity to hit someone's windscreen and make a chip. This is just my 2 cents, but please let me know. It's the all-terrain tyres. They are the cheeky ones on the road. This morning I dropped Ange and Oaks off at the train station. They went to Denmark and then caught a flight to France. then they're going to Spain so Ange can see her sister. So it's just me on my own, so today I actually got a lot done, not because they're gone, but well, I suppose in a way. But yeah, got lots done today. Got the vast majority of the plumbing done, as well as getting the water heater to marry up to the engine coolant. So I'll show you all that in time, but now I'm on to an exciting part, which is our kitchen bench top. So I've just cut down this 26mm thick bamboo countertop to size. We chose bamboo because for its size and thickness, it's relatively light, but it's also a dense, hard-wearing wood, so I think bamboo is a really good choice for the countertop. And we are very, very lucky to be collaborating with a company called Queen Size Campers in Germany on our sink and faucet. So the dimensions of this sink are 400 by 340 millimeters, and this is their dark edition. So it's a fully stainless steel sink, but it has this really beautiful and like really hard wearing coating. So Ange had originally wanted to go black for everything in the Unimog, but I did a bunch of research and saw that a lot of like the black sinks and the tapware that you find is like a coating which ends up peeling off really easily. As soon as it scratches, it can like peel, and it ends up looking really bad because you've got the stainless steel behind. Whereas this, I've seen a video where they've been like scratching at it with like a Scotch-Brite, and it doesn't mar the finish at all. So we thought, yeah, this is going to be beautiful. We also have this really nifty sink tap, which will fold down when we're driving, and then it comes up. You can kind of put it anywhere on the sink. Looking forward to drilling the hole for this one, but first of all, need to cut the space for the kitchen sink. So they've provided this really good template, so there's no way I can really get it wrong. We're going to do a top mount installation as opposed to recessed. The reason I'm not going to do recessed is because I prefer to have that top mount installation sealed all around, and then I'll kind of seal the actual bench, the actual top as well. I'll show you what we're going to use for that. This, which is a brand called Ron Seal, so it's a food safe finishing oil, as opposed to like your teak oil and the other stuff that we've been using is not food safe at all. So top mount insulation, I'll seal around the outside so water can't get underneath it, and I think it will look really nice. And then we'll kind of have induction as well. They will sort of match in terms of colour. But yeah, good size kitchen bench top. It's nice to be actually able to finally see it. Heaps of space for Ange and I guess, to do chopping. Alright, moment of truth. Yes. Oh, that looks nice. That'll of course be flush, but that's what that looks like. Really good. I like the drain design. It's like a flat drain, so it doesn't take up much room. And because we're not actually going to keep a grey water tank, I'll talk more about that later, we don't actually need any kind of a P-trap. So this makes the plumbing up of the sink very, very simple. Man, I'm stoked. All right, bedtime for me. I think it's about 8:30. It's been a big day, so time to chill out and watch some YouTube, I think. Some Grind Hard Plumbing Co. That's probably my favorite YouTube channel. Let us know what your favorite YouTube channels are to watch. Check it out. Very nice. So push to turn it on, push to turn off. This changes temperature, and there's an aerator here too. Then it's designed when you're off-roading that it can drop even further, and it's got these two O-rings which hit the sink and make sure that it doesn't scratch. Very nice. I'm stoked. I'm really stoked with that. There was a bit of work to get the tap in. I got the router out for the first time. This little angry bee, and cut about 20 centimeters out of the underside so that the tap would fit in properly, so that I could get to it with a couple of wrenches. But yeah, that seems to have worked really well. And with the sink tap, with the faucet, I could have had that in a number of different configurations. So you can drill that kind of anywhere you want, but I think this was the best one for us. You can even have it at that 45-degree angle as well. And then they provided also a very nice 32mm hole saw that came with the tap, and that cut through the stainless steel like butter. So that's really nice. They seem to have thought of kind of everything with that. And then you've got these, which tighten the sink underneath. I'll have to give those a bit of a whirl. Very cool. Very, very nice. 1 out of 3 of the kitchen drawers frames are done. Very happy with it. So we've got poplar bottoms just to keep the weight down, and then we've got the birch on the sides. I've used pocket screws all the way around, and then on the faces that you don't see, I've used the nails, and I've got wood glue all around as well. So there will be a face that's slightly larger on the front there. So then I'm going to have to just work out the drawer slides and make those fronts, and then that'll be pretty much done for the drawers, which is really nice. So I'm just going to make 2 more that are taller than this one, about 13.5 centimeters. This one's about 9. So this is like your cutlery drawer, and then vice versa. So yeah, it's going well. I just did a test fit of the kitchen sink in the countertop in the Volvo, and it fits within literally like 0.5 centimeter. So that worked really, really well. I'm really stoked with how that's coming along, especially now that most of the plumbing is done. I'll just need to hook that tap up and then figure out some form of outdoor shower, and pretty much that's the plumbing. Pretty cool, pretty darn cool. Okay, so I'm going to make these 2 more drawers, and that should take me over to my next coffee. On a bit of an unrelated note, I just want to do a huge shout out to my friend Eddie Norris. So Eddie and I worked together as personal trainers in London at a gym called Gymbox. We worked together for about 5 years. I actually haven't seen him since, but we stay in touch regularly. Awesome guy. He's since left PTing and he's pursuing design again, which he used to have done. Now he really generously built us a new logo. So Ange and I liked our original logo that all of you would have seen, but it to us more represents and resembles the terrain in Australia, which worked at the time. But now that we're in Europe and we want to do more of an international overlanding type of a scenario, I knew that a new logo was in order. I kind of gave Eddie some guidelines and we sort of worked together, and he came up with just a beautiful logo for us, which represents a lot more about what we stand for. So now just to break those design elements down, you'll see in the background topographical map lines, and that is to represent our travels around the world. And then from there we have got a off-road tyre. For obvious reasons, we didn't want to make it just Unimog or just Volvo, so that incorporates all kinds of off-road vehicles. And within that is a compass to sort of show that we explore off the beaten path, that we're explorers, adventurers. So I really hope you like the logo as much as Ange and I do. And this is just a heads up because it will be changing on YouTube. So if you don't recognize what's going on, no, we haven't been hacked. We have changed our design, and we will at some point be bringing out some merchandise, which we're going to be very careful with. Obviously, we don't have a warehouse that we can store stuff, so it'll have to be small amounts. Or thank you to Eddie. Please check out his page Initial E on Instagram, and also his design business that he works for called Creative Equals. 1, 2, 3, squat. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, squat. Yes. 1, 2, 3, squat. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, squat. It doesn't look like much, but I've pulled the front cover off the electronics cabinet and I've just made sure that everything is all tightened up. So I made a bunch of these 95mm square cable. And it's hard working with the 95mm square. So Energive had provided some for the inverter, but it was far too long for what I needed. So I actually trimmed it down and was able to reuse it, reprint and reuse. And then I bought some welding cable because it's the only way to get affordably priced cable of that size is welding cable. So the only annoying thing is it's always red, so I've wrapped some electrical tape around to know that this is actually a ground and earth. So everything's all pretty much ready to go into the truck, where then I can continue. Obviously batteries go here. I've got the AC wiring sorted as best I can for now, going from the inverter. This is to disconnect the batteries. This will be to disconnect my Garmin power switch. Just waiting on an MCB for the main AC input. And then from here, I've got the 2 breakers, so one for the inverter, one for the batteries. And the ground's obviously going here. And then we've also got solar already pre-wired thanks to the E-System board. So that is the way I would be able to turn my solar off. So I'll need to wire DC-DC up as well. And then I'm thinking for my Cymarine, I've got 2 inputs here that are free. So maybe pump and the fridge. So, and I've also got a spare 30 amp fuse there. And then I've also got a 300 amp fuse coming off the inverter. So everything's going to be really nice and safe. So now I need to wait for Anne. She'll give me a hand putting this into the truck, and then that'll be the majority of the furniture in. The wiring's not going to be much fun because I haven't left myself too much room for the batteries, so that'll take me a little bit, especially doing it in that confined space in there. And then the only major 95mm squid cable I need to run will be from the batteries to the chassis, which I've already done half now.
Ta-da! That looks so much better. Even Chris is talking about that the jerry can is on like a green. So I won, guys, I won. I'm so happy. Easy mode, and that changes the look of the truck. And we've got some exciting modes coming in on the outside of the vehicle that I can't talk about yet. That's going to transform the look of the vehicle even further, which we're really excited about. So yeah, stay tuned in the coming weeks, that will come. And this wraps up this episode. We won't actually show you quite yet the inside of the camper because we're a bit perfectionists. We want to have some final touches to really show you and give credit to Chris' work because he's been working so hard the past weeks. So yeah, we want to have it a little bit nicer looking, but he's finished most of the wiring, the plumbing is done. So yeah, the goal is to have the camper livable by the end of the month. So that should be achievable, we're hoping so. Yeah, so fingers crossed, all goes smoothly. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry that we had to skip another week. We wanted to focus on the build, focus on family. We're back and we got this.